Hello and welcome to another Reaconteur video, and in today's video I will be helping you Deepwoken players with your future, with financial advice. Don't click off the video. I see you. Don't you dare. This is important. Approximately half of all people don't know enough about personal finance, and I'm trying to help you. So watch this video so you can be rich, or your families can be rich, or you can make money, okay? Watch the video. Don't click off because you use too much TikTok and your brain is fried. You're gonna watch this whole thing. Now make sure to subscribe, and also I'm live on Twitch, so I don't have time to do that advertisement. Just watch me on Twitch after this, and let's get straight into it. This video is a sequel to my Deepwoken video on how to effectively get a job, something many of you need. No, I will not be censoring the word job anymore. You're gonna have to rough it. And with that being said, I do need to put a disclaimer here. I am not a financial expert tailored to you. So, you specifically may or may not benefit from the advice I give in this video. I do not know your situations, and therefore I cannot provide 100% accurate information for you specifically. So just keep that in mind, and let's get into it. Alright, so you got your first job. Maybe you're killing threshers. Maybe you're a real-life void walker, aka a bail bondsman who collects bounties on people. Maybe you're like Lance Leshy's brother and flip burgers. Regardless, you have to pay taxes. Now, taxes are important for upholding societies. If you pay taxes in a country, that money goes to various public amenities. Think hospitals, libraries, public works like road work, public parks, and security benefits for older people. And if you live in the US, your tax money goes to war and Israel. Now, if you live in the US or another country, or a country with similar systems to states like provinces, you may end up paying extra taxes. Normally, everyone pays a federal or countrywide income tax on the money that you make from your job. On top of that, you may pay a state or province tax depending on where you live within a country, and even a city tax if you live in major urban environments or cities. For example, I live in New York City in the United States, so as an individual, I pay 51% of my income in taxes. That's so cool. With the United States being a capitalist society, we are supposed to be paying less taxes, and yet I'm paying 5% less than I would be in the UK without free healthcare. I love this country. Now, as for paying taxes, there are two ways. If you're younger, your employer might make it easy for you and take money out of your checks every time you're paid and then cover your taxes for you, meaning you won't have to do any of the hard work. For those of you who want to get that privilege, you'll have to file a tax form or a Form W-4, which is the tax form required for this, as it allows your employer to file it and pay taxes for you. So give your employer a Form W-4 if you want to make it easy. Alternatively, a Form W-2 is the individual employee tax form. So you file a Form W-2, and then that is, you covering your pay. I already covered taxes and tax forms in the last Get a Job video in more detail, so I won't be covering them in significant detail here, but basically, a W-2 is what you fill in, a W-4 is what your employer fills in. You both have to do them regardless, but if your employer is also doing a W-4, then he might take money out of your check for your taxes, okay? So go watch that one if you want to file taxes better. This is for savings and stuff like that, and just how to spend your money. Now, you've gotten your first paycheck. What should you do with it? Obviously, spend it on Deepwoken slots and cosmetic race rerolls. No! Obviously not! You're not gonna do that. Don't you dare do that. Don't even think of doing that, okay? Now, saving money is a good thing. On average, for example, someone who starts saving money in a Roth IRA, which I'll explain in a second, at just the age of 18 will have about double the money by retirement age compared to someone who starts investing money in a Roth IRA at the age of 25. That's crazy. You're telling me a 7-year difference will result in double the money? Yes. Now, a Roth IRA is an investment account which lets you invest your after-tax income. So once you pay taxes, you put that income in a Roth IRA, and you just let it sit there, right? It makes more money for you. A traditional IRA takes pre-taxed income and can't really be touched before your retirement age, which I think is around 65, but it might be 59 and a half for specifically Roth IRAs and 401ks. Now, if you don't wait till you're that old to take money out of it, you pay taxes, but you'll also pay additional penalties in a traditional IRA. This is important because with a Roth IRA, you can take money out of it when needed without needing to pay taxes, versus a traditional IRA, which you aren't meant to touch before retirement age. Now, many of you may be thinking, damn, that sucks. I have to invest money when I'm young and then I don't get to spend it and I only have a lot when I'm 65. Well, yeah, the point of it is kind of to build generational wealth, because if you make $100,000, which ends up going to your kids, that $100,000 in another generation could be over $1 million. That million could be 10 million, and it just keeps contributing per generation. So blame your parents for thinking the same way you did if they don't have investment contributions lined up for your future, and blame your grandparents for thinking the same way you are right now, because you could be a millionaire right now. And just remember to bite the bullet, and remember that when you're dead, helping those around you will be all you can save for. Some people think I come from generational wealth because I make a lot of money and I work in finance. No, I'm just very lucky, okay? I'm going to be completely honest with that. I am a very exceptional case. I am quite lucky. Do not aim to start your own financing firms. It probably won't go too well for most people. Now, as for the rest of your money, you can feel free to implement something I believe I mentioned in the last video on financial advice, which is the 50-30-20 rule, which divides your monthly expenses as follows. 50% of what you make in a month ideally should go to necessities: rent, mortgage, food, bills, car payments, insurance, stuff you absolutely need in your day-to-day life. Then 30% can go to things that you want: clothing, travel, dining out, video games, whatever. Burn that 30%, it's free for you. And then 20% goes to savings and or the repayment of any debt that you have, like college payments, medical bills if you're American, and I don't know, some other stuff like that. Which, as for medical bills if you're an American, the only reason you'd have that is because some asshole called an ambulance when you had a heart attack instead of an Uber. Now, other than an IRA or a Roth IRA, another very common way to invest money, and a smarter way than most people give it credit for, is investing in stocks. A lot of people have the common misconceived notion that investing in stocks is like gambling. Unless you're the dumbest motherfucker on planet Earth and don't listen to what I'm saying in this video, you will not lose a singular dollar long term. As far as investing goes, stick with a good digital firm. Fidelity is the ideal choice for this, but there are many other apps. I would say stay away from Robinhood though, they kind of fuel degeneracy. Then from there, put as much money as you can into the app, and when you're going to buy something, you're going to buy an index fund. It's basically a compilation of a bunch of different stocks that automatically diversifies the investment for you without you needing to buy 500 different stocks. Diversification is important. If you put all of your money in one stock, when it goes down, you lose a ton of money. With an index fund, it does that diversification for you, and you will earn on average around 10% per year. There's ways to optimize growth, but those methods aren't recommended for beginners. Now, the index funds in question are VOO, which is the Vanguard Index Fund, which takes the S&P 500's top performing corporations and puts money in all of those. Then there is also SPY, which is basically the same thing, but just put your money in VOO. It's easier. I'm not going to explain why because it's a lot of technical stuff, but VOO is easier, okay? Now, one thing you will not do is options. You stay the fuck away from options trading, okay? Options trading is what people who know nothing about stocks think investing stocks is like. Options trading is basically just betting on whether a stock will go up or down within a set time frame. And while sometimes with major political news, it can be a good call, haha, get it call, if you know what I'm talking about, you get it. A vast majority of the time, you're flipping a coin with the chance to make or lose massive amounts of money. Do not touch options. You're gonna put your money in an index fund and not touch it until you need it. Don't even look at it. Don't even look at it, okay? Don't even look at it. You could trade it, you could sell and buy at high points, and you could, you know, maximize your profits like that if you have over $25,000, because you can't do trades daily, okay? But just don't touch that stuff. Now, I know I said that 50% of your income should go to rent and stuff like that, but in modern America, a lot of people are paying closer to 70% on rent alone and around 75% on necessities, and that is simply cruel. To that I say you're just gonna have to make some cuts to fund stuff. Ideally, you should be saving money, but a lot of people tend to cut savings in exchange for fun. But look, if you're an adult now and want to go to a bar with friends, buy yourself a cheap bottle of Everclear, take 3 or 4 shots before you leave your house, and only drink water at the bar. It's free, no hangover, and you'll be just as drunk as everyone else is there on like a 20th of the price. That is a cheaper alternative to going out and paying $9 for half a shot of vodka and a vodka Red Bull. I'm joking, of course, but find ways to save money on stuff you can't exactly afford comfortably, right? If you want to, get a bunch of corn, make your own Husker wine, aka moonshine. Make moonshine is what I'm telling you to do. And you could even sell it illegally. Boom, side hustle, done. Right, now along with that, don't keep a dime in checking accounts, please. The ideal way you should be spending money is on credit, which you pay off in full every month to avoid interest payments. As soon as you're 18, getting a credit card is a good idea. But don't be a dumbass and think it's free money, because you have to pay it back. Generally, it's a good idea to auto-pay all of your bills and necessities on credit every month, and then pay it in full before your due date, which is in around 28 to 30 days. This will give you the benefits of credit card spending perks, which just include free money, while also costing you nothing. I have paid $0 in credit interest in my entire life, and I basically just get free money from the banks, and I will continue to do that. I get so much free stuff on the banks because of it. Now, it's also important to realize, banks don't like when you don't give them money. If you have a 750 credit score and have paid $0 in interest across your lifetime, for example, but your friend has a 560 credit score and is constantly paying interest for late payments, the low credit score friend is actually more likely to get a higher paying loan than you. The reason being that friend is more likely to pay late and not in full, meaning you are what they consider a deadbeat, which to a bank, a deadbeat is a non-profitable customer. they lose money on you with perks and credit points and miles. A person with a 560 credit score is likely to not be able to pay back the loan ideally, but a person with a 560 credit score is also likely not well versed enough in finance to know this, that filing for bankruptcy will actually cancel out lesser debts. Meaning that while there's more risk, they're basically guaranteed to make money off someone who's less responsible with money. So remember that, okay? Now along with that, if you have direct family in a branch of military in the US, so a sibling, parent, or child, you can apply for credit with Navy Federal, an absolutely amazing credit branch which gives extremely high credit limits, which you won't spend to their maximum because you can't pay that back, and they offer competitive loan rates. Now you might be thinking, why would I want a higher credit limit when, I can't spend all of it? Because you should be spending it in percentages. Banks don't like to see you spending more than 30% of your credit limit, so if you have a higher credit limit, then that means that 30% is more. For example, Navy Federal gave me a $75,000 credit limit, which is absolutely insane because at the time of me applying for that card, I had a 760 credit score, which to be fair, they probably also took my income into advance, but still, it's higher than I'd get with Chase. Which means I'm basically free to spend $23,000 every month without any change. Now, as for savings accounts, I don't think they're very good most of the time. If you have money that's spare, put it in a Roth IRA or a stock investment. The only time I'd say a savings account is a good thing is if you have a medium-term length goal for something you want to buy, which is relatively expensive. So let's say you want to buy something for, $5,000 within 6 months' time. A savings account specifically is good here because you can't accidentally overspend on that money like you might if you let it sit in your checking account, and you aren't influenced by market values, so you can take it out whenever you need immediately, unlike stocks, and along with that, you can take it out as you need, unlike a traditional IRA. Essentially, only use savings accounts when you have a specific goal which is expensive that you plan on getting within a year or so time frame. I personally, however, would not recommend using a savings account for just putting away money though. With the highest yield savings accounts making on average 5% per year, a stock investment account invested in an index fund like VOO or SPY, you'd be making on average twice that, with the potential for even more growth. Alright, and now we have budgeting. Here's an easy rule for budgeting. Buy things as cheaply as possible, but don't give up necessary time in exchange for money. You can save money by making coffee at home instead of going to Starbucks. Or you could cook dinner instead of DoorDashing every night. Or if you're crazy about it, you could buy caffeine powder and dry scoop it with water every morning for energy instead of having coffee, and then that comes out to like 10 cents a serving, right? It's whatever. But if you're a business owner, for example, sometimes you need time more than money. If you're actively working, it's a good idea to just save the time and maybe get the DoorDash, especially because it is a tax write-off. Analyze when you need things and when you have the time to do things and use that to make your decisions. But if you are a business owner, DoorDashing food while you're working is actually a tax write-off, which means you get that much money taken off from how much you need to pay for taxes. Because you spent $50 on DoorDash, now at least $25 are off. Overall, I hope this video's retention is all the way up, otherwise I give up on the youth of Gen Z and Gen Alpha. You're all a lost cause. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. Check out my live channel. Shout out to YouTube members High Card, Green, Goob Cub, Brick, and Drizzy Drake fan. Now, I might have forgotten some stuff because, I'm kind of just doing this all off the top of my head instead of compiling information. I did script this video, but, I'm writing this video script off the top of my head instead of, compiling information and then writing it. But it's whatever. This should be useful to a lot of you. I love you all. Have an amazing day, and goodbye.